Wait, hold on, Mike. I have no snare in my headphones.
What? Okay, you can't be doing that while I haven't even gotten to switching already. Okay, say it again.
I said I have no snare in my headphones.
All right, well, welcome to the Leg Kick Preview Show. The show that previews all the fights. That basically all you can get.
Yeah, today we're coming at you live or dead, depending on it's Halloween. So we'll do a dead show soon, where we're all zombies or dressed as vampires or something. I don't know. You figure it out.
Can we have a cricket sound effect for that?
How about roaring applause? Can we do roaring applause? Yeah, guys, we're coming at you ahead of UFC 253, I believe. 253. I always forget the numbers.
I'll look that up.
Just stop it with the numbers, UFC. Just stop it. I can't keep track of it, okay? Come on.
What are you talking about? I love the numbered shows.
Yeah, I do. I just don't like it when I forget them. Yeah, so ahead of UFC 253. Nice, sensuous, supple pay-per-view card. And we're here to help enhance your enjoyment of the fights, break down the potential matchups, let you know what's at stake here. If you find this something interesting.
Oh, for the record, 253. It is 253.
253, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you find this something interesting, something that you might like in the future, subscribe, like, leave a beautiful comment about Mike's appearance. He's looking...
I'm looking cute.
Mike's looking like a doll today.
I'm looking cute. No,
but... If I was any gayer. Okay, so...
Wait, disclaimer. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with it. Okay. Great Seinfeld episode. Yeah. If you... The biggest thing you can do to help us, guys, other than liking, and subscribing to our podcast, hitting that bell notification so that you... know when we're releasing new content, which is always as often. The most important thing you can do is tell someone about it. That someone likes MMA, let them know about the leg kick. We help you understand the fights, understand what's at stake, add a little bit of enjoyment to your life, and we got a lot of content coming soon. Should I tell them about the big interview we've got a little bit later on?
Surprise them. Let's surprise them.
Yeah. All right. We got a big guest coming on, both in stature and in accomplishments in mixed martial arts. So we'll hit you with that a little bit later on. Yeah. But until then, stay tuned. Big things coming at the leg kick. Yeah,
it's huge. All right, let's get into these fights.
Wait, hold on. You might be asking where are Jeremy and David.
Oh, yeah. The other two. No, David and Jeremy.
David and Jeremy have unionized. They've started a union here at the leg kick. Little do they know they've literally taken away half of our workforce. Dirty. We're gonna send in some strike breakers soon to beat the poo out of them and get them back to work. That's my go full Henry Ford on them. But until we reach a good negotiation of the $0 revenue we're getting in right now, a good revenue split as far as that goes, then we'll get them back on. Probably by this Sunday, I think we'll work something out.
Yeah, hopefully. But. Yeah, now back onto what we actually are here for, these fights. And you want to go top to bottom?
Top to bottom always sounds good.
Because you know what? Honestly, low-key, I was looking at this card, and it's not very deep.
No, there's some potentially interesting matchups, but you're right. After the co-main and main, it drops off a little bit hard.
Yeah, and I love me some Kayakar France, but...
Yeah, name value's not there, but, I mean, Kayakar France... He his last fight against what's that Mexican gentleman's name? That was a banger. Mm-hmm. Wow, we really did our homework here, Mike.
And also, I really want to talk about Hakeem Dawodu.
Hakeem. Yeah. That's okay.
I really want to speak about him before we really end off, and we only really have what is it, like an hour?
An hour before we bring in the big guest.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's going to be kind of cool. But until then, let's get into the fights. And first off, obviously, we're going to talk Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa and resident MMA genius Stefano.
Genius me? Well, yes. Of course, you're right.
Okay, but I got to get your opinion. The fights, this event is very, very, very intriguing. Because you got two guys with two distinct styles going at it. You got two undefeated guys, by the way.
First time since Machida versus Rashad Evans back for the light heavyweight crown. Mm-hmm. That was a fight I was watching intently as a big fan of Lyoto Machida, by the way. But yeah, go on. Continue.
Yeah, but it's two guys who are definitely going to square off and someone's always got to go. And there are guys who have different styles. Israel Adesanya, I think a lot of people underrate his power. He's got huge power,
precision.
He's a guy who
he's not a one-hitter quitter, but the precision of his strikes, as well as how he's able to time you coming in, as he did in the Whitaker fight, just comes together to produce finishes, right? You don't have to have, especially at a weight class as big as 185, you don't have to have immense power to produce finishes, in my opinion. But please, continue.
Israel Adesanya, he's definitely a guy who's got, he's got a lot of aspects to his game. Very, very good striker. A guy who's known for his precision, his accuracy. Very underrated in the power department. And he's a flashy style versus a guy who's kind of perceived as a swarmer.
Swarmer, the perfect word. He's the classic example of a swarmer. I've never seen a truer example of a swarmer than Paulo Costa in modern MMA, at least. Yeah.
In your face, brutal, exciting, in the sense that he's going to take one to give one, and he's a guy who, there's no back down in him, and we're going to see what happens. I'll say right off the top, though, I really think Israel Adesanya is going to look good in this fight.
I agree. I've said this before and been wrong, but I'm struggling to see the avenues in which Costa wins in this fight. I think it's going to be difficult for him to cut off Adesanya, right? That's going to be the big test for him. Can you cut off Adesanya and force him onto the cage? Man, Adesanya's ring craft it's something else. It really is something else. If you're a striker coming into MMA as a striker, you better have good footwork. You better be able to keep your back foot off the cage, and Adesanya seems to do that. Costa, a decent ring cutter, uses that right swing kick to the body in order to swarm.
Here's the thing, though, right? If you look at his fights, he hasn't really fought anyone who I would say is a great ring general. Yoel Romero can kind of get away with what he does, where he backs himself up.
You're saying Adesanya or Costa hasn't?
Costa.
Okay.
He hasn't really fought anyone who's a great ring general.
Yeah, because there's not many of them in MMA right now.
Fair enough, but Uriah Hall's not great. In fact, I would say pretty below average in terms of cutting off, in terms of being a ring general.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah. Uriah Hall has the same tendencies that get him in trouble in most of his fights, where he tends to circle off the cage hands down in the same direction, and that's how. Oh man, too many punches to the head. What's the name of that gentleman who just beat the young Armenian prospect?
Brunson.
Brunson. That's how Brunson caught him, right? As limited as a striker as Brunson is, he was able to catch Uriah Hall circling off the cage, chin up, right? But where Hall did have a lot of success in that fight is with his jab, piecing up Paulo Costa. It seemed in the early going, it really seemed that Uriah Hall was going to be able to keep Costa off of him with that jab, just accumulate small damage and coast to a victory, but.
The body shots, man.
Yeah, Costa's in a fight as long as he's physically in the fight, right? No quitting that man, to be sure. And if he doesn't get it done through wit, he'll get it done through grit. And that's the thing, man. I think remove Israel Adesanya from the division. I genuinely think you could see this man being a champion because his tools, while he doesn't have the sophisticated manipulation of rhythm that Israel Adesanya has, or the elaborate use of fakes and feints, the good command of, where he is in the cage at all times. But he's got some cool tools that, because of his physicality, he's able to make the most of them. Right, swarming you against the cage. His right body kick. He even has a decent check left hook that he throws as people try to push back on him and push him off the cage. Man, I would really like to see him mix in some grappling in this fight. If you can get your hands on Izzy, if when Izzy's trying to frame on you, maybe you shoot just to push him to the cage. I would really, and we haven't seen a lot of grappling from Paulo Costa. I think 0 takedowns.
Yeah, he's got 0 takedowns.
But he's a black belt.
Yeah, which is weird. He trains with Walid Omar, who is a pioneer in the world of BJJ.
Walid Ismail, you mean?
Sorry, I apologize. I don't know why Omar's in my head. You know what? Because I know a guy named Walid Omar. But
hilarious. Shouts out to Walid Omar, man.
But yeah, no, he trains with Walid Ismail, who's a pioneer of MMA.
A man who choked Royce Gracie unconscious in a jiu-jitsu competition.
Yes.
OG Nutter.
And so you have to believe he has it in his back pocket if he goes to it. And I think that the press conference where he gave Israel Adesanya a white belt kind of symbolizes that, hey, they're going to go for takedowns here.
Sure, yeah. And I mean, that stuff's not always telling, but like, man, why the heck not? Like, if you can you imagine if Paulo Costa submits him in that fight after handing him the white belt after that gesture? Holy crap. Talk about Mystic Mac. Yeah, he also trains with, I think, to give credit where credit's due, because I don't like to putting out an idea without, crediting the person who came up with it. But Jack Slack was mentioning that he trains under the same wrestling coach and MMA coach as Henry Cejudo, who put together that brilliant game plan against Dominic Cruz, cutting off movement using leg kicks. But Costa doesn't throw many leg kicks, man. I don't know if you've noticed.
But he's got a hell of a round kick to the body. So I think
Thunderous.
If he just goes low with it, it should be around the same thing. In fact, better, no? So
I agree. For whatever reason, we haven't seen that as a part of his style, but I'd love to see those attritive...
They're coming for Stefano.
They're coming for me.
They're coming for Stefano. Hide. No, but go ahead.
They know about my money laundering. White collar crime, of course. I really believe that attritive weapons will pay dividends for Costa. They will, right? Try and attack that big advantage that Izzy has in the footwork, right? In the footwork department. Slow him down a bit. Yeah. Easier said than done, right? Especially because Izzy, man, there's not a range in this fight where
Izzy can't fight. Like, the thing about Izzy too, and I've been saying this a lot, is that Izzy isn't exactly bad in close range. In fact, I think he's got some tools with the elbows.
He's got a mean double collar tie. I think it was that first fight in the UFC he had where he showed off obviously a different level of competition, but mean double collar tie, man, slapping in elbows there from the top, and yeah.
Yeah, no, he knows how to. See, that's the thing. He knows how to clinch. He's got great feints and fakes to throw off the rhythm of Paulo Costa, so it's not like Paulo Costa's going to be there. And because he does keep his hands generally low, it's not like the body shots are going to be readily available all the time. And guys are obsessed with hitting Izzy in the face. So I think going down to the legs is going to be a tool that he could use. But the problem with that is you can't really throw leg kicks if you don't know when the leg is going to be there.
It's true. You've got to feint upstairs, flash the hands, and then throw the low kick, especially against someone like Adesanya, who employs a lot of the same that lean that Dominic Cruz employs, where it appears like your head is on your front leg, and then you pull it back to your back leg. Cruz, classic Dominic Cruz stuff. So yeah, Costa, he's got to flash those hands, go to the legs. I wouldn't be surprised though, however, call me crazy, if in the later rounds, Izzy's actually the one pushing the pace, moving forward, and pushing Costa up against the fence. I think he has a way of just overwhelming you, confusing you, just with so many possibilities. He's just programming your brain with all these fakes and feints, and you don't even understand what you're getting hit with and where. The first couple rounds, I wouldn't be surprised if Izzy's kind of elusive, downloads some data, and 2 and 3, he starts to pick it up and just starts battering him. Finding the timing on that jab. I'd like to see Izzy throw some weapons to kind of deter the advance of Costa. I'd like to see him go to the body too. I think front kicks to the body could be an excellent weapon to kind of nullify the pressure a little bit, stifle it, and make Paulo take a step back, and wear on that cardio, which we've seen not to be suspect, but in the later rounds.
He did look gassed against Romero.
He did
look gassed. But the one thing about Paul Costa that gives me kind of look, like I said, I think Israel Adesanya is going to make him look good. Israel Adesanya is going to look good in this fight. But the one thing about Costa that gives me caution is that he's got a granite chin.
He does.
A granite chin. And so Paulo Costa, I don't think, is going to get worn down by the peppering shots. I think Paulo Costa is going to get worn down by his own volition, right? His own inefficiency to get to Israel Adesanya. Does that mean that Israel Adesanya is not going to TKO Costa? No, but I don't think Israel Adesanya, although he's shown that he has power, underrated power in my opinion, I don't think Israel Adesanya is going to have the requisite power to knock Costa out.
Interesting. I think he could. I think he could, especially with the accumulation of shots. Well, so you don't see Izzy kind of catching him with a counter strike early, kind of intercepting that pressure, do you? I kind of, for whatever reason, I see it more like the Brunson fight, where he
He
deflects the
into-
pressure.
Yeah.
He deflects the pressure, wears him down, kind of like, once Costa's not straight line charges, but once his clinch entrances and pressure seem to kind of constantly be diverted, and Izzy's not there for him, I think Izzy starts to take control of the rhythm of the fight. Then I
agree with you in all aspects. It's just what I'm trying to get at is that I don't think Costa will be deterred by he's going to keep going.
He's going to keep going.
I think
his body will fail him before his mind does.
Yeah, I think the whole thing I'm trying to get at is that Costa has probably the best chin in the division.
Easily, man.
Right, so it's not like
that Romero fight was terrifying for me because it showed you what a force of nature this man is. He's truly, that's the only way I can describe him, is he's a force of nature. He's going to come crashing down on you like a tidal
and discipline too. And the other thing about him is discipline. I remember Rogan was talking about how Waleed was talking to him about saying that with Costa, his eyes on the prize. He's not going out and getting, I was about to say the P word, gang tail. He's not drinking up a storm. He's not partying. He's got his eyes on the prize. And so because of that, you see a motivated, hungry guy with all the physical tools.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Unrelated, but this came to my mind. Are these the two best looking competitors in UFC title fight in a long time? Because these guys are studs, man.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
God damn.
Physically.
It's getting hot in here.
Physically, Paulo Costa,
he's like a Calvin Klein model, but jacked.
I'm surprised Paulo Costa has not really garnered a mainstream audience. I mean, it's probably the English, right? But
it's probably the English and the fact that he's not a champ. I was going to say the same thing about Izzy, man. I am so surprised that how is this guy not captured the same intrigue that a John Jones did in his early career?
I mean, it's coming though with him. He was on the cover of UFC 4, and
that's true.
And people were doing that. The dance routine was all over,
right?
Social media. So
man, he has all the aspects of a sport transcending star in Israel Adesanya. Because what are the normies like, right?
Yeah.
The normies like flash. Okay, he's got a ton of flash. He finishes fights with style. The kind of highlights that you can make a GIF of and put up on social media the next day and have your uncle that barely knows anything about MMA kind of sharing it around. So he's got that. They like character. They like a personality, right? Mm-hmm. He's certainly got that. And he can bring in the weebs. He's King Weeb, okay? Weebs out there, fellow weebs.
Did you see that Akatsuki? Did you see that Akatsuki?
That was so gangster. Yeah. That was so gangster.
Man. Nah, as a guy who's brought an Akatsuki style
we've both fought in Naruto gear.
Yeah.
Mike's fought in Akatsuki shorts before. I fought in the full-length Naruto pants. Funny story. Maybe I'll tell it on the podcast sometime. I don't know if I have before, but they love anime in Trinidad. Hilarious. Shouts out to Trinidad. David, I'm clowning on you till you come back. Honestly, though, they do love anime in Trinidad. I was surprised to find out.
They love anime everywhere. See, anime is one of those closet things that everyone loves, but no one likes to
admit. No one wants to admit it, yeah.
But yeah, everyone loves anime. Come on.
Co-main?
Sorry? Yeah, co-main.
I don't know how to feel it. This one kind of snuck up on me. I looked at the card this morning, and I'm like, wait, what? This title, it's on this one? Really? This is a double head? Okay, all right. I'm about it. I'm cool with it. It's so interesting. I don't know how this fight's going to turn out because
my head says Reyes, right?
It's true. Now keep in mind, Reyes it's one of those styles where I think he had a very good style to beat John Jones, right? When you can make John Jones chase, clearly good things happen for you, right? When you can make him, it's not that John Jones is bad on offense or anything. He's got great offense and he's great pursuing. But if you can force him to chase recklessly, like Reyes did, right? If you're a ghost in there and John Jones can't get a hold of you, that was good. That was good. He was able to take angles on John Jones and just punish him with that rear hand straight as a southpaw, right? Mm-hmm. Nasty. Timed him with a couple of uppercuts coming in. Invested in the legs and the body, but ultimately gassed. I still think he won.
Yeah,
he's got a chance to get his hands on that strap now. Now I don't know what version of Blachowicz we're going to see. Because we've seen him fight very boring conservative fights a la Jacare, right?
But then there's the Rockhold fight where
he's
he
catching him coming out of clinches. Yeah, because it's like the Jacare fight. After the Rockhold fight, I'm like, where was all this in the Jacare fight? Like, Jacare was basically just trying to pursue clinches at all cost. But in the Rockhold fight, every time they disengaged from a clinch, he was cracking Rockhold again and again and again until Rockhold, died. But
we love you, Luke Rockhold.
Rook Lockhold.
Yeah, Rook Lockhold.
Against any, like with the Adesanya thing, against any high volume fighter like this, especially, footwork oriented fighter, especially one that's prone to gassing, I think the legs are going to be a good investment for Blachowicz early.
Yeah, which is what surprised me about that John Jones fight is that John Jones has good kicks to the leg. I was really surprised he didn't go to the oblique kick. Right, which is like a staple of John Jones' offense.
Yeah, I would have liked to see John fight the majority of that fight in southpaw, and I think he had a lot of success in that fight when he was in southpaw, because then you can fire the outside low kick, which is much better at stopping movement than the outside low kick from an open stance matchup, orthodox versus southpaw, because you really can't generate that much power when you're throwing the outside low kick against orthodox versus southpaw. Because if you think about it, you have to step up into that kick. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you're in like a mirrored stance, you can just swing. You can just swing naked, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if they're moving.
Yeah, so it was surprising. But, Jan Blachowicz, I think, is not really the leg kicker that John Jones is.
Absolutely not.
So I think there's a path for Blachowicz to win. It's wait for the third round to happen. By that point, Dominic Reyes should slow down if he hasn't gotten it under control.
That's the thing, though. Just waiting won't be enough to cause attrition.
Yeah,
you have to make him work.
Yeah,
right. You can't fight a boring fight and then a low. Boring is the wrong word. A low output fight and expect the opponent to gas. You've got to make him work. And man, can you think of anyone that's been able to push Reyes into a clinch and control him there for long periods of time? I can't really.
I would say Volkan kind of got him, but it was by surprise.
No,
right?
You're right. You're absolutely right. Okay, that was a tool that we didn't see in the John Jones fight. Volkan did. I thought Volkan won that fight as well.
Yeah, me too.
Volkan Oezdemir would throw, because other than Chris Weidman, he's one of the only people in MMA that I've seen make use of this tool so well, both as a damaging strike and as a ring-cutting tool. Weidman would throw like a double right straight, kind of pump the right straight out there twice. The way Volkan would do it is he knew Reyes was going to be circling out to his right. What Reyes loves to do is kind of slip past the right hand and come over the top, right? Henry Cejudo does it as well. So he'll circle towards your right hand, and then when you throw it and overcommit on it, he pulls back to the outside of it and counters over the top of it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, classic.
Pull counter. It's a pull counter.
It's a pull counter, but from southpaw orthodox, open stance. Mm-hmm. So what Volkan would do is he'd throw that first, he'd commit not too much, but he'd throw out that first right straight. And then as he was backing up, the next one, instead of throwing it as a straight, he'd arc it. So he'd throw, you can see me, he'd throw boom, and then take a wide step with his rear leg and throw the second one like a hook. Boom.
That's the best version of Volkan I've seen.
Yeah, me too. That was beautiful. And he would pursue, and it's just, sorry, Mike, just to finish real quick, off of that right hand, he'd either circle it into an underhook and force him up against the cage, or kind of like shoot and find himself back into a clinch. But yeah, that could be a tool that I could see Blachowicz using to great effect.
Yeah, no, I think that's a thing. But the whole point is, I think, if I'm not saying Blachowicz has a bad chin, but it's not the greatest.
Who knocked him out? I think
Santos, and I was gonna say I thought Anthony Smith did, but no, Anthony Smith did not.
Because that Santos fight I remembered, but it was so long ago that I'd have to go back and watch it. Mm-hmm. And to my knowledge, in this recent win streak that he's had, he hasn't really taken a lot of damage to the head where I'd be like I could agree or disagree one way or another. Mm-hmm. Rockhold kicked him to the body a lot.
Yeah. Which was working for him, but it seemed like his calf or shin gave out on him.
Rockhold?
Yeah.
A little bit of that and a little bit of, I guess the movement just wasn't there, which is typically there when Rockhold's on point. He just looked slow. Mm-hmm. They both looked like they were moving through mud in that fight, to be honest with you. Jacare fought kind of a lackluster fight, and then we've also got the Corey Anderson one. I don't think he was really tested quite a bit in that one. So for whatever reason with Blachowicz, there are very few fights from him that I actually remember, because for a long time I was just so uninterested in him, because I'm like, this man's not getting anywhere near a title. I don't find his style particularly compelling. It just kind of is what it is. And then he had this career turnaround, and he was actually looking good, hitting beautiful counters, actually looking good. So the only fights from his early career that I can remember distinctly are that Ilir Latifi TKO and that Gustafsson fight where he was boxing up Gustafsson on the feet for quite a while until Gustafsson took him down and subbed him.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting because Blachowicz is an accomplished black belt, a very accomplished black belt. So, I mean, look, my whole thing is that I think Blachowicz doesn't have a bad chin, but Dominic Reyes can knock guys out. So it's going to be interesting to see the power element of this and how that freezes or doesn't freeze Blachowicz. And it's also, I also think that Dominic Reyes has the boxing advantage, the speed advantage, and the footwork advantage.
I agree with all of that. Now, I think Reyes probably wins this fight if he can get Blachowicz to chase him. If he can get him to chase him, it's going to be a very short night. I see that counter left straight coming in over the top and just ending Blachowicz's night very quickly. Blachowicz has got to be patient. He's got to use intelligent pressure, fake his way to Reyes. Yeah, Reyes is a great ring general, actually, come to think of it. Like I said, there's not many good ring generals in MMA. I think he's phenomenal. Great at shifting directions.
When he's not tired.
Yeah, when he's not tired. So yeah, Blachowicz, invest in the kicks. Feint to the inside, right? That double right straight is a tool I'd like to see him make use of. And if sometimes it almost sounds contradictory, but you could also play the path of waiting and hanging back and getting Reyes to come charge at you because he's a lot less creative when he's charging in on those straight lines. He was able to catch John Jones on straight lines. If you remember when he would blitz forward and he'd hit John Jones with like 3-4 clean strikes. I think that works.
And let me just say, John Jones has a legendary chin.
Legendary. So underrated. Yeah. I think the reason why it works so well, those straight line charges for him, not because they're particularly sophisticated, but because you get so used to chasing after this guy. He's so elusive, and then all of a sudden he's in your face, right? It's just a quick change of tempo. So if you can frustrate him and fight a boring fight for the early rounds and then force him to come to you, that might be a good idea too. It seems like Blachowicz has had some good success with intercepting counters recently.
Yeah,
like that Corey Anderson fight.
Yeah, that Corey Anderson fight. Although Corey's not the boxer Reyes is at all.
No.
And God bless Corey Anderson. I think he's going to do great things at Bellator. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. I think the clearest path for victory here is that Blachowicz has 5-round cardio. Reyes does not. So, or that's at fair. Least at the current moment we saw him, he did not. So I think he's got to test his cardio somehow for this W. But I just think that when Dominic Reyes is fresh, he's a problem. He's a problem. He beat John Jones. Well, I mean, he didn't, but like in our hearts and minds, obviously,
yeah. That's how we'll remember that fight.
So,
here's the thought, and this just came to my head right now. It could be correct, it could be incorrect, but do you think maybe that natural quote unquote natural athletes that are that big and employ that kind of fleet of foot style are just inevitably going to gas in the later rounds just because the human body, when it's that large, isn't designed for it's almost like a trade-off you have to make, right? Whereas like a Dominic Cruz can keep up that style of footwork in the early rounds just as a big man. It's not a realistic expectation. And you can point to anomalies like Cain Velasquez, let's say. He didn't have the similar style of footwork, but similar output, high output. Yeah. But ultimately, Cain Velasquez is an anomaly. Like, we don't generally see athletes.
So I think there's two ways it goes. Because there's one thing I think I have kind of knowledge on, and it's kinetics, right?
Yeah.
You've heard me talk about it, like, kinetic energy. So one of two things happens. You either gas out as a bigger guy, or you tend to be injury prone, right? Where your body just physically cannot handle the stress you put on it.
Right.
And you tend to hurt yourself if you are a person who moves fast. So if you're the athlete, like let's say my brother is Jeremy, Jeremy tends to one of two things happens to Jeremy. He either tends to drop his hands low when he's boxing, or he tends to kind of flat foot himself.
Jeremy's future opponents, you listening?
No, listen, like when we were starting out, because he's used to explosion, right? He's so fast and he's so big.
Yeah. Football background, right?
Yeah.
They're
right.
used to exploding and resting, which is
This is a guy
honestly,
with a 4.9 40 time, right? This is
Yeah.
a guy who's quick as a
incredible
hiccup,
athlete. Yeah.
right? So
It just, as a big man, sustaining that over a long period of time is just not reasonable, right?
Yeah.
The body's not meant for that. He's gifted with other kinds of athleticism.
now
And
the reason why I want sorry to cut you
No,
off,
go
but the
for it.
reason why I want to say this is because Dominic Reyes, I see the same things. He drops his hands, or he'll keep his hands up and be
flat-footed slows down in the later rounds. Yeah, yeah, and that's what happened in those last 2 rounds of the John Jones fight, right? He was kind of stuck in place. Well, John was able to get his single strikes going and start punishing Reyes. Yeah, man, it's true. It's true. It's going to be an interesting fight. I don't feel really comfortable making a call on this matchup as far as who's going to win. I'm not going to encourage anyone to bet either way and lose their money, but what do you think? If you gun to your head, I'll put you on the spot, Mike.
Reyes.
You think Reyes?
I think Reyes wins 3-2.
Yeah, I'd probably lean towards Reyes. I wouldn't encourage anyone to bet, but I would lean towards Reyes as well.
Well, I don't think anyone should bet in general. Or at least
Puritan Mike.
no, it's not that. I mean, like on this card specifically, like there's no surefires. Like, I'm very confident in the Adesanya fight, but I'm not confident enough to say bet the house on it. Maybe a parlay.
Yeah, we've seen crazier upsets. Right?
Yeah, right. So and at the same time, I would say that you would probably go to Reyes, but if Reyes did not clean up the cardio, round 3 on is going to be a question mark. So,
it's going to be difficult.
right?
So,
But I think Reyes has all the tools to give Jan problems if he's fresh,
Yeah. Just pulling up.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you the next fight if you want.
Sure. I'm just looking at. We've got.
Kai Kara France.
We should
Brandon
probably do one
Royval.
more fight because it's 11:34 a.m. Pacific time.
Oh yeah, and we're getting that big guest on.
That large and charred guest. We'll so maybe like 15 minutes we'll spend just running down the rest of the card if that's okay with you.
Yeah. I mean, God bless again Kai Kara France and Brandon Royval, but
I can't even recall a Brendan Royville fight to be honest with you. But Kai Kara France, man, he's fun. Yeah. He another city kickboxing prospect. I think. He beat Tyson Nam.
Oh, yeah, Tyson Nam's on the card.
Brendan Moreno. He lost to Brendan Moreno. I thought that was a very close fight. I would have given it to Kai Kara France. But, he's a prospect at flyweight that I'm actually very excited for. City kickboxing prospect.
Okay, so I guess let's kind of run down here.
Sajara Eubanks versus Roy.
Caitlin Vieira. I mean, I think Vieira should win. Like, I think she should win.
Yeah. Dude, is it just me? This is going to sound so mean. Is it just me? Or they say Sajara Eubanks is like a world champion black belt on the ground.
Wait, really?
Yeah, right? That's my reaction exactly. They'll say that in the commentary, and then I'll look at her in the fight, and I'll be like...
But you know what?
Really?
There's some women, like, I think Amanda Nunes is the same way, where on the ground... She relies on her athleticism.
Yeah, but a world champion jiu-jitsu black belt, I'm like, really? I think that's just not women. I think that's a lot of MMA fighters in general will do that. But like,
yeah,
with Sajara, I'm just like, I mean, she's good, but like world champion, like,
I'll look her up right now. Stall while I look her up.
Yeah. I see some things that give me pause. Especially in that last fight against what's her name? The fighting panda that she fought like a couple weeks ago. Where she was getting bested on the ground by...
she's a world champion black belt. She World Jiu-Jitsu Championships 2014 in Cali.
Damn.
Gold medalist, bronze medalist in 2015.
Was it at
silver
black belt?
medalist.
Was it at black belt?
It was at black belt.
That's so strange.
Oh, sorry. The gold was at brown. The bronze was at black.
Okay, hold on. That's still nothing to turn. A bronze at black belt and a gold at brown belt is nothing to turn your nose up at.
Yeah,
like the brown belt
and
level
a silver in 2016 at black. So
okay, there you go. I mean, like, yeah, it just makes me wonder I don't know. I could be talking crap, but it's like that's so prestigious.
I mean, again, it could be a couple things. Like, there's no strikes in a world championship jiu-jitsu match, right? And so it could be that. It could be that she's relying on her athleticism, right?
Yeah, she's relatively young in MMA as well. I think her record's not.
And let's be honest, she hasn't cleaned up the fight IQ aspect of her game.
No.
Right?
No.
Which is why I kind of made that little crack of like, imagine Roxanne Marfurio's mind and Sijara
Eubanks' power, yeah.
You know,
if Roxanne had an ounce of power, she'd be a world champion.
You know, God bless her. I've been hearing she's been working a lot on her strength and conditioning, which I think is like the final step for her.
She's also almost 40 now, but
yeah. But again, I think you know, Sijara Eubanks. It's interesting. I didn't know that, but I think a lot of it too. Oh, this is another aspect to it is she does elect to stand with girls now.
Yes, yeah. You know what we call that? Standing and wanging.
Yeah.
You remember Andy Wang on The Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah.
No!
Everyone makes fun of him for that. I wonder how he just goes out and because he was easily the most diva guy on that season.
Yeah, and I mean that's the whole thing about standing and wanging. It's like, dude, you're a black belt. Why are you striking with these guys? You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then next, running down, we final main card fight. We have,
which I'm actually very interested in.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Zubair Tugarov. I'm sure I've seen him fight, but Hakeem Dawood, he fought on the same card in Muay Thai as a good friend of mine, Max Lee.
Miserable Max Lee.
Miserable Max Lee, yeah. Shouts out to Miserable Max Lee, hilarious. Zubair Tugarov, beast.
Yeah, he's a Dagestani product. He actually,
he KO'd Kevin Aguilar.
Yeah. I believe he trains. He's a teammate of Habib's. He trains at AKA.
Draw against Leonard Murphy.
Right.
Beat by Renato Moicano. That doesn't really tell me much. Beat Felipe Nover. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
I think Hakeem Dawood wins though. I'm gonna tell you.
I'm tempted to say that just because I like Hakeem Dawood and he's a fellow Canadian. But I haven't seen enough of our Dagestani friend to really know, so it's up in the air.
Yeah.
You can tell we did our homework this week.
No, I do know, I'm, again, AKA product, wrestles with Habib, wrestles with Islam.
Wrestles with Islam. What is he, a crusader?
Islam Makhachev, right? So he is a guy who, is well-rounded. He's a good striker. But, again, Hakeem, Muay Thai.
Love that clinch work from Hakeem Dawood.
He's a monster in that clinch. In a country that doesn't usually celebrate the clinch as much as they should do.
Canada?
In Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really. I've seen the Muay Thai, and that's one of the things that I think Muay Thai Ontario, I granted, not everyone likes the way they do it, but they try to score it higher. But
yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do? But the whole thing is that I really like Hakeem's aspect in this clinch, and I do think Zubair has a suspect cardio, a suspect gas tank.
Yeah, is that what you've seen?
Yeah, I think he has a suspect gas tank, which is weird considering that Islam and Habib have excellent gas tanks.
Yeah.
Right? But, it is what it is. I think he has a suspect gas tank, and I think Hakeem, it's not, listen, is he Tony Ferguson? No, but I think Hakeem can definitely take advantage of that.
And we're going to find out.
Yeah, and we're going to find out. And obviously I am a homer, so somebody's probably listening to this and being like, what? Zubair is going to take... No,
Yeah.
But I really think Hakeem's got it here. But then again, I thought TJ Laramie was going to ragdoll Derek Minner, and Derek Minner got the 52-second guillotine win.
Yeah, that was the thing.
So, yeah.
All right, well, you want to...
Yeah, let's
Good, Phil. Kind of a short one today, guys, but you'll understand later in the week. Thanks for tuning in. Fights are this Saturday, as we said. We'll be recapping them on Sunday, and stay tuned for a bigger interview coming out with an enormous guest.
I love how you keep alluding to the fact that he's large.
Oh, he's a tick, boy.
But yeah, please like and subscribe. We're trying to get to a certain number of subscribers. If you heard the video, I always say at the end, 1,000 subscribers, please, please, please.
If we get to 1,000 subscribers, Mike will drink battery acid. He'll do it. He's agreed here on air that Mike will chug a vat of battery acid, and then he'll...
That's something those TikTok kids would do, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Do it for the gram. Okay, guys. In this lazy, messed up world, without...
Oh, hold on,
David.
Hold on. Let me do the
Jeremy.
music for you.
Without David and Jeremy, you have three things. You have Mike, you got me, and you have our upcoming guest who you'll find out later.
Later, everybody.